No, let's go ahead and let's jump into Mark Benioff, the Salesforce CEO, and see what he has to say about not just his company, but the economy, growth rates, the industry, all those sorts of things, because this is a huge market cap. It's one of the biggest big dogs out there. And what Benioff says is very important.
Force to learn more about the quarter and what comes next. Mr. Benioff, welcome back to me, buddy.
Jim, it's always great to be with you.
Oh, same, Mark. Now, I've got to tell you, a year ago, people were saying, you know what, he's not going to do a big free cash flow number. He's not looking at the current remaining performance obligations. He's not delivering on the bottom line. I'm looking at current remaining performance obligations, $4 billion more than people thought. Free cash flow, $1.37 billion. People are looking for $681 million. How is this possible?
I graded Salesforce's income statement, put that inside the private group in the income statements tab inside the Discord chat, and spoiler alert, it was an A-. It was a phenomenal income statement Salesforce put up. Absolutely phenomenal.
Well, Jim, you can see these numbers. These are monster numbers, and it's a monster year. It's been incredible at Salesforce, and the transformation has been one of the biggest I've ever seen in software. I mean, the quarter, you can see these numbers. A few companies have ever delivered numbers in software at this size and scale, and not just in revenue, but in cash flow as well. Exactly like you're saying, this cash flow number, I think, is up 1,000% year over year. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were looking at, look, your earnings per share, obviously much better than expected, but the numbers that I really count on, the ones that everyone's measuring by, are those two. Now, they're also measuring, one of the things that's happened this quarter is that when I hear someone does a lot of business with Amazon, it's worth 10% immediately to their stock. And it pops up. I know you've always had a good relationship, but you're doing a huge amount of business now with Amazon Web Services.
Well, you know that we have a great relationship with Andy Jassy, and I think he's one of the best CEOs in the world. And the partnership that we've had with them has gone on for years and years. They're a huge customer of Salesforce, by the way. You know, Amazon uses Salesforce to maintain their customer relationships for B2B and B2C. That's really how all of this got started. We have got all of their customers on journeys, and we're providing our Einstein capabilities and our new data cloud to accelerate their growth, and it's working incredibly well. It's just an incredible success story for Salesforce.
Well, you know, there's a new CEO at a company I really respect and have used and been a good client for, ADP. It's Ms. Black, Maria Black. It seems like that she understands how to use Einstein better than anyone to keep her gazillion customers happy. What is she doing with you?
Well, Maria Black is a fantastic CEO, probably one of the best in the industry, and I'm so glad that she is at ADP, a great company and a brand of sales.
Benioff, I freaking love the guy. I mean, what can I say about him, okay? Why is he so damn amazing? I mean, obviously he's one of the best businessmen in the world, literally, right? I think, you know, what makes a great businessman is just understanding how to handle all different situations. It's building a great business, but he just understands, like, the game, right? He understands, you know, promoting other people and, you know, saying positive things about folks and winning friends and influencing people. And I can tell you in a Salesforce's industry, it's highly competitive. There's a lot of other companies people could go with that they might say, well, why is this product much different than this? But the man just understands people. He's the salesman of salesmen. I could make an argument that maybe Mark Benioff might be the greatest salesman in the entire world. Like, if you're into sales, like, I would study everything Benioff has done, everything he's doing. I would listen to every conference call you ever could. The man, I think the man's probably the best salesman in the world. Like, literally. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head that I'm like, they're a better salesman. I can't think of anybody. I mean, just tremendous. He understands on such a deep level, like, a whole game, man. He just gets it. And I just see the man, and I'm like, damn, he just freaking gets it. And, you know, that's how you build a $100 billion+ company.
For literally decades. And they're doing just an incredible job with us really in three areas. One, first, it's a monster deal for us for the quarter. So you know that, Jim. But number two is they're really using our Einstein GPT to create this kind of co-pilot relationship to make their sales reps much more successful.
And why it's so powerful when a man like that is so good at being a salesman is, guess what? This company is called Salesforce. So this is a company that's dependent upon salespeople, okay? This man's such a damn good salesman, he knows another good salesman, or saleswoman that is, right? He can spot them. He can be like, that one's good, we need to add them to the team. You know, he understands this at such a deeper level because he's so damn good at what he does, right? And so, you know, it's like being a great athlete. Like, you can see it, if you see another great athlete, like, you recognize it right away. Like, you can tell, like, oh, wow, that's another great athlete, right? Benioff.
Excited
Love the guy.
about that. And they're using our data cloud as well, which is going to help them to really get their data in shape so they can really accelerate with this AI revolution that's going on.
Are you finding that people are using Einstein to make it so that they have a lot more time to be in touch with the customers and a lot less time typing, a lot less time doing administrative work, that you're doing it? What is the multiplier that you are giving, force multiplier of Einstein?
Jim, you've got three exciting drivers going on, or what you call multipliers. Number one is, Jim, deals $1 million and above this quarter are up like 80%. It's incredible.
Wow.
These very large deals, I haven't seen numbers like that in so long. And I'll tell you why. It's because companies are really adding all of these great products together into a suite. And it's not just our sales cloud and our service cloud and our marketing cloud, but it's also Tableau, it's Slack, it's MuleSoft, and it's also Einstein GPT. And the final, a cherry on the top of the cake, is our data cloud. That is an incredible new product. And I think in the quarter, Jim, actually, we did 1,000 new data cloud customers. Isn't that amazing? Add to that, another huge driver for the quarter is our Einstein GPT Copilot technology. This is also amazing, where we did 550 Einstein GPT Copilot deals for customers. So these are customers really putting AI to use. Now, and that is what I think is starting to really drive our growth in these exciting new ways.
Is it every vertical? I know finance is supposed to be late. How about retail? Who is putting the money in? Manufacturing? Where are you seeing it?
Jim, this is really across the board. I just got off a plane, as you know. I've been in Tokyo all week. Jim, right. I couldn't believe the traction. Every single customer was implementing Data Cloud. We did our world.
I just love Benioff so much, man. I just can't even stand it. Oh, I can't stand it.
Yesterday, I did the keynote. I got on the plane. I got off the plane. I'm here. We had thousands of customers who are interested in deploying Data Cloud in Japan because they all need to go AI. You're not going to go AI in your enterprise until you get your data together. You're not just using the Reddit data or the internet data the way ChatGPT is, for your enterprise. You have to get your data together. And that's why Salesforce Data Cloud is so important. And it's why we did those 1,000 Data Cloud deals in the quarter. And when you look now at what we've done, even in just such a short period of time with Einstein GPT, which is our Copilot product, 17% already of the Fortune 100 are already now these Einstein AI customers. This is the new technology. I'm not even taking into consideration the trillion Einstein transactions we did this week, which is our predictive and generative layer, our whole trust layer. That did 1 trillion transactions. These are just across the board new customers.
Okay, when I saw that it was like 1 trillion a month, and now it's 1 trillion a week. And when I see you next, is it really possible it could be 1 trillion a day?
Well, Jim, this is just an incredible opportunity, what's happening now. And I think we're going to see some unbelievable opportunities with Einstein, and we're going to see some incredible capabilities, not just with predictive AI, but with generative AI as well.
Now, is it possible that you yourself are using it? Because when I saw the head count, your head count is down substantially from a year ago, and yet your revenues are exploding. So you're using it too.
Look, Jim, if you look at the employment data and look at what ADP is saying, what ADP is saying is that we have incredibly low employment. We're going to need more productivity. Right. Where is that productivity going to come from, Jim? It's going to come from AI. We all need to be using this AI technology to take advantage of basically the incredible opportunities in the labor market. So if we're going to be able to maximize what we have in our companies, we need to deploy this AI technology. To do that, we have to do a number of things.
So before we go further here, that's actually a very interesting point he brings up there, right? About, okay, makes me think, like, if you were a true leader in AI, you're probably going to end up forming some of the most profitable business models in the world. Because I'm just thinking, like, if you're a true leader in AI verticals, right, you're going to understand how to use those AIs inside your own business to hopefully give you the most efficient business model possible, understand the biggest revenue opportunities possible, and run the best business model possible with the best margins possible, right? Which, makes me wonder about companies not just like Salesforce, but companies like Palantir, maybe companies like Microsoft and some of these other companies that are really on the leading edge of AI and how they're going to use them inside their own businesses to ultimately become the most margin accretive, profitable businesses you can possibly imagine, right? So I don't know. That's just a little food for thought there, and I thought that was it's an interesting kind of thought, right? Interesting.
Going to be using these data clouds so that we can get our data together. That is our fundamental message to our customers. You saw that at Dreamforce,
right,
and how successful that was. And it's
two other companies that come to mind, or that are what I would consider AI leaders that can probably save themselves a lot of money and maximize revenue opportunity. Those two companies are Meta and Amazon. Both going to obviously be massive in the AI market. Both have several different products, and in both those both those companies should be as let's call it efficient as you can possibly imagine over the coming years, and because they're on the leading edge of AI.
Really all over the world. I'm so excited about what all of our customers are doing with our data cloud.
All right, well, how successful have you been in the world of open AI? I saw your tweets. I know that they have a lot of good people. Have some of them felt liberated, want to go to Salesforce?
Well, you're right. I am recruiting aggressively artificial intelligence engineers. Well, I'm recruiting aggressively all kinds of great engineers. And some of those folks that we'll be able to get back were actually our employees before, their Ohanas, their rebounds. And we're excited to get that kind of opportunity. That's so exciting for us when we get that boomerang coming back at Salesforce. We've had a tremendous success with that. And listen, if you're a Salesforce alumni or our Ohana and you want to come back, you know how to email me personally, and I will take care of you.
All right, well, there's question.
I mean, can you not see why I love the dude? Like, my gosh, like, he's like maybe one person that left Salesforce that we think is a great employee and we want him back. Like, maybe they're watching this Jim Cramer interview right here, and maybe we're gonna get him back. Like, dude's just on his game, man.
You sent me a book, Ghost Fleet, not that long ago, and it made me worried. It made me worried that perhaps the Chinese could be more than just, let's say, economic competitors. When you sat down with President Xi recently, did you find him more friendly, given the fact that his nation's economy is sinking and ours is on the rise?
Jim, I was so grateful that President Xi came to San Francisco, to our great city. And I was so grateful for a successful APAC conference where we had about 35 heads of state. We hosted many of them at Salesforce Tower, showing them this vision of artificial intelligence. And I felt there, and also I'll also tell you at the UK Safety Summit, which I also attended in the quarter, Jim, the Chinese ministry came, and to see China participating on the world stage and really having that collaborative relationship with us again. This is so important for everyone going forward. And I'll tell you that in the quarter, we also deployed at Alibaba for the first time, including getting Caring and LVMH up and running on the Alibaba cloud. I am so excited about that. It's a huge accomplishment.
You buried the lead. These are all the great companies that you could possibly...
Also attended in the quarter, Jim. The Chinese ministry came, and to see China participating on the world stage and really having that collaborative relationship with us again. This is so important for everyone going forward. And I'll tell you that in the quarter, we also deployed at Alibaba for the first time, including getting Caring and LVMH up and running on the Alibaba cloud. I am so excited about that. It's a huge
you buried the lead. These are all the great companies that you could possibly see. Mark Benioff with honestly, Mark, an amazing quarter. Congratulations. I thought the summer quarter was good. This is amazing. It's awesome. It's an awesome quarter. Congratulations.
Well, we're going to do $8.7 billion. I mean, Jim, you look at not just an $8.7 billion quarter. We're going to do now $34.8 billion.
Even David Faber will be impressed. I mean,
wow, just very impressive. And whew, yeah, I wish I owned a lot of Salesforce stock. That's all I can say, man. I wish I owned a lot of Salesforce stock. That dude does a hell of a job running that company. Next one up here, Shopify sees a Black Friday record. Let's hear what's going on here.
Stock shares of Shopify are up today and on pace for their best month ever, although they're still 50% below their 2021 levels. Black Friday sales.
I wish I owned more Shopify stock. It's a position I have in the Patreon portfolio. I wish it was a lot bigger.
record highs for the platform, up 22%, far outpacing the 2.5% overall increase in spending this year. Here's Shopify President Harley Finkelstein on Squawk on the Street
10X,
this morning.
Folks, 10X.
But one of the things that's very interesting is that sales made by merchants on Shopify using our point of sale system, which is in store, has grown by 33% since this period last year. So I don't think it's just online only. I think it's this intentionality where consumers want to buy from their favorite brands.
And our next guest sees more upside as Shopify continues to win share. Joining us is Ken Wong. He's an analyst at Oppenheimer. Ken, it's good to see you. And I should add, we're only talking about 10% upside for your price target, but what's your gut tell you?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Look, I think a lot of the upside right now is dependent on what happens, kind of obviously Q4, looking out to fiscal 24. So with sentiment going into the holiday season, initially a little more cautious. Like I think these results definitely show that we could potentially.
All right, Black Friday growth beat mid-teens expectations. Nice. Results imply strong setup for holidays. Absolutely. Implied average cart price rose 5% versus 4% last year. Interesting. Could have mild positive halo effect on e-commerce peers Wix, Squarespace, and GoDaddy, he says.
That upside to our numbers, likely upside to consensus numbers, which are looking for growth closer to 17% GMV, and they displayed 22% growth, as of Black Friday.
Wow. Did that number surprise you, up 22%? Is that, I know when they're in the early growth stages, we'd be like, yeah, of course. But just give me some context around that figure.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a surprise. Consensus expectations were for the fourth quarter GMV to be closer to 17%. I think we had been hearing from merchants, from partners, and even from consumers that a lot of shopping was starting earlier in the holiday season than just purely during this Black Friday, Cyber Monday stretch. So our expectations were potentially that it would come in a little light of the 17% that people were expecting. So to see a 22% number, definitely, meaningfully higher than anticipated.
Yeah, it's big when you see a big Black Friday like this. By far and away a record breaker when Thanksgiving was early. Like Thanksgiving was early this year, which means you have more shopping days than, a year where Thanksgiving's on the 27th, 28th, and, Black Friday's the next day, something like that. So it's really big when you can beat.
I think some of this is also,
on a year like this,
just online, right? We noticed that on POS, which is their
look at that move from $46, $47 to 73, just in about a 3-week span.
Retail product, we saw growth actually accelerate to 33% from 27% last year. So clearly, this is more of a Shopify thing than just purely a retail dynamic.
Not to go on a tangent, but it is. So I never think of Shopify as being something I'd experience in store. But the fact that their in-store volumes, point of sale volume, were up 33% when we know in-store traffic or sales were only up, I think, 1.1%. Overall, tell me, where would I encounter Shopify at the checkout? Would I know as the consumer?
Yeah. I think as a consumer, you probably wouldn't realize it, but I think some of the consumers' favorite brands, whether it's Allbirds or Warby Parker, they have both a big online and an offline presence now. I think what's more important is Shopify is no longer just a platform for, let's say, online first, hybrid second. Over the last 18 months, we've seen a much bigger push to just pure offline retailers. So this is something that, again, I think the trend is still early, but we shouldn't just purely think of these guys as an e-commerce direct-to-consumer type of a play.
Right. Sometimes I think, it benefits them if we think of them that way instead of something more traditional, but I totally take your point. Let me ask, as you, across the rest of your coverage space, what are your big conclusions coming out of Black Friday, basically Cyber Monday now?
Look, I think it should be a net positive for companies levered to online sales, e-commerce. We also cover some more down market competitors in Wix and Squarespace, GoDaddy. I assume that they likely are also seeing kind of more upbeat sales trends. Further up market, we have BigCommerce. They also put out some Black Friday, Cyber Monday details that suggest double-digit growth on their platform. Across that entire group, and I assume some in the e-commerce world, should probably see a bit of an uplift based on what we saw over the weekend.
And finally, how much more is...
So another way to look at this is if retailers are going to have a stronger than expected holiday shopping season, which, after seeing some of these numbers, and we'll see where Cyber Monday shakes out, but after seeing some of these numbers, there's a good probability some of these retailers are going to run through inventory and have to do a lot of big purchases come January, right? January and February. And so obviously that bodes pretty well for the economy, right? That bodes well for a lot of different folks. Like, imagine you sell through, a lot of clothing and you sell way more clothing than you thought you were going to sell through. So now your inventory is low, so you got to place some more clothing orders. Well, that's obviously more business that other countries are going to produce that clothing, right? It's not like the United States, we produce that. So that helps them out and that helps the global economy out, right? So, many various factors go into all this game, and ultimately a better holiday shopping season is definitely something that's very big for the economy and retailers.
People are looking through the numbers and going, wow, 8.5%. To me, it feels like, well, yeah, we're still at such a nascent stage of market share growth or penetration of online to in-store that we should still expect to see numbers at least that strong, I would think, but maybe I'm being too blasé. I mean, how much more sort of runway is there for these online players to grow in terms of the total retail market in this country?
At least a decade or two.
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, as a percent of retail mix in the U.S., they're still in the high teens. I imagine that we should continue to see that penetration number move up, at least into the 40-50% over time.
Wow.
So I don't think offline retail is completely going away, but clearly, from a consumer user perspective, whether it's on
That's why I feel so comfortable holding stocks like Shopify, holding stocks like Amazon. And Amazon's the third biggest position in the public count. These companies have, 10, 20 years still of growth ahead of them, just from the, e-commerce side of the business, never mind anything else they got going on.
Your tablet, your PC device. I think we're finding that more and more consumers are purchasing off the couch than in store. And I think more importantly for Shopify, it's not just purely a growth dynamic. Right? This is the first year they're going to have profitability. We're assuming that by fiscal 24, they might be looking at mid-teens margins, $1 billion of cash flow, and that number should continue to grow and attract a different investment
Shopify month to date, 56 flipping flapjack and percent. Booming.
Profile than just purely a growth-oriented mindset.
I think I read that something like half of the online purchases Black Friday were made on a smartphone, which makes sense. That's where we are. We're on the couch. That's what we're doing. Ken, thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Ken Wong of Oppenheimer.